Welcome to Haunted Stories for Space Camping, where we explore the unexplainable. I'm Felix the Human, and with me is my co-host, Mad Matt, the Mad Professor, the Armchair Extraordinaire. He is the expert, the king of conspiracies, the sultan of suspicion, and I am a casual consumer of the curious. Before we start, make sure you like and subscribe, rate and review, whatever you do.
I know, lightweight details about Black Manta, but I've never really looked deep into it. So this is going to be mostly new for me. I'm just going to be asking questions.
Yeah, and feel free to hop in at any minute. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'll say, hey, everybody, welcome. This is Mad Matt, the Mad Professor, the Armchair Extraordinaire, quarterback in loosely compiled conspiracy theories into the end zone the best way that I know how. With me today is my friend and my compatriot, my partner in crime, Felix the Human. Say what's up.
YOLO. What is up?
Not much.
I'm excited for today.
I am very excited for today.
It's not often that, it's not too often I don't do any prep work whatsoever, but I decided to do that today, not prep. So I'm super excited to just be oblivious.
And on the opposite end of that, I've actually done some prep work. I'm like I said, I'm so excited about today's topic that I'm probably going to be all over the place, and that's okay. I'm going to use a lot of big words. I'm going to use a lot of my own opinions. We'll step onto that.
Territory.
Yeah, we'll step onto that right now and say
before
that any of my
before
opinions,
we get right into it, though.
Yeah. Before we get into it, any of the stuff you're about to hear, my opinions, my theories on how things work are expressly my own. They are independent. I don't have any formal training or education surrounding the subject. And if the NSA or the United States Air Force happens to listen in on this
you're listening
podcast, I know none of this for sure. This is all alleged.
Hey, we're not leaking here, okay?
All right.
This is not an educational podcast. This is an entertainment podcast, and we are hopefully entertaining. Do the thing with the likes and stuff.
Yeah. I was talking to Felix about this before we come on. Like, comment, subscribe. Definitely leave a comment. Your obligatory algorithmic engagement. It really helps us up.
It helps us get a little traction. We definitely, like we've said, we want this to be a conversational podcast, so we need audience involvement. Got a lot of people watching and watching a lot of it according to the stats. So give us a holler, give us a comment, give us something to engage with.
Let you know you like us, right?
Because we just want to be liked. No, we just want somebody to talk to.
Just want to be liked.
Please talk to me. No, we want this podcast to sort of grow with you guys and grow based on what you guys want to hear or want to have said, So what is the topic for today?
Yeah, without further ado, let's move into it. So it actually has a few different names. We'll start
Kris Kringle?
No,
is it?
It's not Santa. It's not Santa.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that'll be a future episode. Now, this is, in my own opinion, probably accounts for 80 to 85% of all UFO and UAP sighting phenomenon. And the name of this object, the U.S. Air Force designation, unclassified designation, is the TR-3B. It has a black book project name called the Black Manta.
That sounds official.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Ooh, that sounds more fun.
And it's got a loose...
Black Manta sounds like a supervillain.
Yeah, it does. And it's got a loosely associated
from the
name,
60s.
Right, called the Astra. So, once I describe...
Yeah, I've heard it by Black Astra a few times. all those names, the pair of names, the Black Manta and the Black Astra, sound super cool. It sounds like something off a Space Ghost Coast to Coast villain or something have you. I mean, this is really awesome. Sort of,
dude. This technology
stuff.
When you think about the
is
stuff
it as awesome as the names?
Yeah, it's more awesome. When you think about, and how do I frame this? It's so simple. It's not simple to do, and it's not simple to make. But the theories are so
simple to think about.
You're just like, and there's a couple wrenches in what I have to why it's unclassified. I mean, why it's classified, why it's under wraps, why it's still a black book project. I have a couple things to throw in there that I don't quite understand.
So
go ahead.
Definition question. What is a black book project?
So that's a great question. I actually
that's for the layman audience members. I obviously know what it means myself, but for the listener that maybe
it isn't involved. I have a few of them. It's actually part of my approach, part of my outline that I did here. So some of the big black book projects that people will know about is the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 stealth fighter, the B-2 Spirit bomber. And then my favorite, which is still, most of those are unclassified now. They are out in the public. But what people don't know.
A quick question about the. I know this isn't a podcast about the Spirit Bomber, but just the name caught me. Was that when the U.S. military decided just killing people wasn't enough? They had to destroy their spirits too?
I think. Just take everything away from you in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
But the spirit itself is another precursor to this same project. They all come from the same place. But I want to step back real quick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I want to step back real quick. And in here, I don't think I intended to get to it right yet, but I will mention it. My favorite, other than what we're talking about now, my second runner-up, I would say, would be the Stealth Blackhawk. Okay, sounds normal, but we'll get into that because that thing is real.
Well, because we have Blackhawks,
Well, and that specific one is real. They've been seen, and we had to pay a lot of money to Pakistan to get pieces of it back. And so, but we'll get there. Maybe I'll touch a little bit on it. Okay, so the Black Manta, the TR-3B, what is it? It is a triangle-shaped weapons platform developed and deployed by, now I'm going to say probably 99% sure, by the United States Air Force. And my other 1% is because what we're going to get into, it may be a joint weapons platform with Space Force. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I've got a few questions just based on what you've parsed out.
Yep.
And if at any time this is something you're going to cover later, just say this is something I'm going to cover later, and I'll just cut that question out, and you can just go about your business because I don't want to kill your thunder here at all.
Fine.
So when you say weapons platform, do you mean like a literal platform, or do you mean
so platform is a military term
loaded to the brim?
Well, it's a military term. It's a military term for a vehicle that specific loadout is dedicated to the delivering of ordnance, of weapons onto a spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Now, when you say triangle shape, are you talking like stealth bomber? It's shaped like a triangle.
I'm talking like it's shaped like a Dorito chip. It is a triangle. And,
yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I mean the not
B2 like the F-117. I'm talking like if you see this thing looking up in the sky, it's like a black Dorito that's flying through the sky.
Okay. That's fun. I like it.
There are no external fins. There are no tail fins. There are no rudders. There are no external propulsion of any kind.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that raises some questions right there, doesn't it?
Yeah. And and that's that kind of gets into stuff at the end where I'm not 100% sure on. But so like, you ask yourself, how can this thing account for 80 to 85% of the UFO things that we see, or the UAP things?
Well, that's funny you say that, because I was just wondering to myself out loud, how does this thing account for 80 to 85% of UFO sightings?
Let me tell you,
and UAP.
And that's and that's my own opinion, but I watch a lot of, especially with the whistleblower reports that are coming out now. I've been very amateur in the field of UFOs, but I have done quite a bit of studying. I've read quite a few books. I've done I've done the required Whitley Strieber reading to get into this stuff. So
brilliant.
So I mean, I dig it a little bit. And so getting back into it, where any of those videos that you see, any of the news stories that you see, where it is a black triangle with lights on it, it is the TR-3B. They're either running test missions, they're running reconnaissance, they're running maintenance. This thing has been caught on FLIR camera in formation with USAF aircraft escorting it. I mean, I can't tell you how real or unreal the pictures of it are in Iraq and Afghanistan. But there are some photos and pictures that are allegedly alluding it to delivering strike packages on targets. So dude, any video that you see that's like, oh, here's a UFO. If it's a black triangle, it's the Astra. There is no other question about it. And so where does this come from? Where did we get this from? And it's not necessarily a new technology, but it's a recently mastered technology. So we originally got all this stuff. A lot of the Black Book projects that I mentioned beforehand, maybe with exception of the U-2, a lot of the flying wing design, half of what this triangle would be, comes from a lot of Nazi German innovation from World War II. When we took Warner Van Braun and those scientists, we advanced our programs by decades, because they had no restraint. They were mad scientists. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted. So they got they weren't caught up with like moral or ethical obligations when it came to. There was a lot that was let to happen all over the world during that time, regardless of political or geological where you came from. Sorry, words are getting away from me. Origins.
Yes. And honestly, it very much felt like, especially when you're talking about the A-bomb testing, a lot of our success came from scientists smuggled out of Austria or Germany while they're trying to flee. So it very much feels like scientists all across the world, they're like missing puzzle pieces, and sometimes they just need to be put together
in the right place. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And so,
and a little bit of alien tech never hurt.
It doesn't hurt. And I have an idea about that, but I don't know how. The only reason why I have an idea about it is you'll see here in a minute. And so there are accredited test flights from USAF test footage of Roswell testing platforms, hovering platforms for men. They're trying to emulate the stuff that they had learned from the skunk works and the Nazi innovation and the German innovation at the time, and they were trying to kind of rebuild some of that stuff around the Nazi Bell, some of that technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last part where this really sums up is the United States at some point, I can't tell you when, and it's still probably ultra classified, has successfully developed an MFD, a magnetic field device.
Now, what's that mean? Is it a magnetic field to create energy?
It can. That's one of its potential uses, yes.
Okay.
But that's not, it's applied use in this technology.
Are we using this like we do in, micro technology? Like, let's say, your motherboard in your computer.
No, think more superconductors.
Well, that's where I was going towards.
Yeah.
So the inductors and stuff on a chip in a motherboard where you just wind a bunch of metal into a coil, or you've got the two magnetic plates separated by as thin of a area as you can to further manipulate magnetic fields. And then you brought up superconductor. We're talking about power lines, the big, round power line. It is a conductor, and it's got magnetic fields that they can manipulate, or I guess, they manipulate it to either raise, lower wattage and voltage and stuff like that.
So we're going to get into it because it gets pretty technical. All those other projects that I mentioned led up to it, and I want to divert one quick second because I have to give that Stealth Blackhawk its due. It is really so the Stealth,
for sure.
The Stealth Blackhawk, real quick, was deployed to kill Osama bin Laden. There were two of them. Okay, and from reports, word on the ground is no one heard anything and no one saw anything. No radar signatures, no noise signatures, which means these theories of the CIA having silent choppers, choppers that can go into silent mode, is very credible. They can literally kind of like creep up on you. And on top of that, I'm just not making this up. There was a problem that the heat in the desert, it was a pilot error. They couldn't, it was a very high stress situation. They were doing a very high profile mission. They were trying to get Osama bin Laden. You have to think about so many things, especially when you're a helicopter pilot trying to get your team in and out. So when it's so hot in the desert like that, there's not enough air pressure. The blades don't create enough downforce. And pockets where it gets hotter, that lift, the helicopter able to generate lift gets even less. And so what happened is they ran into one of those pockets over by Osama bin Laden's compound, and that Stealth Blackhawk actually went down and crashed. But they couldn't. I
mean, that's crazy.
Yep. Real.
Yeah, it's the stuff you don't actually think about. If you put that into a hot environment, you're not going to get that lift.
Nope. And so where this all ends up is the team, they actually got the other helicopter, get everybody out who needed to get out, but they had to blow up that helicopter with C4. And they still didn't get it all. They left a huge piece of the tail. Yep. They left a huge piece of the tail. It fell into Pakistan's hands, and we paid a whole bunch of money to Pakistan to get that tail piece back before they sold it to whoever the highest bidder. But so no one ever talks about that piece of equipment. No one ever acknowledges it exists, but it's there and it's out there.
Now, is that something that was classified and leaked, or is that something that is readily available?
No, they still do not acknowledge its existence. You cannot go. You can go out onto the internet and look up, fan pictures of what it might look like based on the pieces that we saw.
Right.
But there are no pictures of this thing,
which I have
out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jesus.
It's wild. It definitely exists, though. So you think, how can this be? How can this happen? The government. Is very powerful.
I had a question about the stealth helicopter.
Yeah.
Thought that just popped into my head when you brought it up. Is it any coincidence that this technology sort of coincided with the technology of drones?
What do you mean?
Just their use together within the same time period. We're going for more or stealth planes. We're switching over to unmanned drone aircrafts. I mean, it just seems like
it's all about risk. It's all about risk. And
the proxy war.
It's all about risk and risk aversion. The nation that can inflict the most damage without actually going someplace is going to be king.
I just think it's crazy because the technology to make like drones aren't all that loud.
No,
you can buy some really quiet drones,
and they have nice.
And I just
3D
think it's
printing.
crazy that we have that technology. Yeah. I think it's crazy we have the technology to do that, which it all comes in with the electric technology, the electric motors, and not relying on fossil fuels. Electric motors run much quieter.
Oh, very much.
And it coincides with all these, with the stealth helicopter and all these stealth programs we're developing and all these proxy wars we're looking to get into. It's just, I feel like I'm going crazy with yarn connecting all these dots in my head.
It's just all coming together. And soon you're going to have yourself a nice hat. Joking. All right. So earlier that I mentioned how I think this aircraft would operate, and how does it stay up there? How does it work? How do you think you know so much about it? Well, I'm going to get into it, and hopefully I answer some of your questions. How this works?
For sure.
This thing is wild. You've never seen. First of all, it probably from the outside it is black metallic. It probably a few meters.
I mean, we're gonna go with all the listeners have never seen this.
No. It's on the outside. It's metallic. It's shaped like two Doritos that are laying on top of each other. That you've smeared some cream cheese in the middle. So it's like it's as thick as a slice of bread. So it's a triangle slice of bread. You see what I'm saying? It's got some thickness on the side of it. It's thin.
It is a fancy cut sandwich you would get at a tea shop or a tea party.
There you go. And it's not as fat as like a club sandwich. It's just like one of the pieces of bread. It's got a little bit of thickness to it. But it's all.
Buddy, I think you're just hungry a little bit. You should have eaten before you came.
We did. I had some rice casserole. It was absolutely rice, chicken, and broccoli casserole. I don't want people to think I'm just eating some rice casserole. What is that? Anyway,
it's just called rice.
Rice. That's it. Yep. And so this triangle, and it has a hole in the bottom of it. And there's probably some other features, except for no one's gotten close enough to really define some of these features. If you look online, you can see what some people would say that some of these other features might be. So the crown jewel in this aircraft, this platform, this vehicle.
It's got to be the center part, right?
Is the center part, and that is where the MFD is housed. Now, you asked me, doesn't that have to do with energy? And yes, they do have to do with energy. Right now, NASA currently uses small-scale MFDs for their ion engines, exactly how you were saying with the energy production, with the coils, and then they run a rod through the middle, and it produces a low amount of voltage with the magnetic fields. It heats up that rod and then creates an endless stream of power for the ion engines. And so that's very real technology. And even though that sounds like science fiction, it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an inductor motor, So very, very basic. Obviously, a coil inductor on the largest scales can power cities,
And that's where we're getting here, because we're about to crack this nut open. So I want you to imagine a cylindrical donut, a donut made of metal. And on the inside of that donut...
It's like a metal pipe.
Yes, it's like a metal pipe. And on the inside of that donut is supercooled mercury. Another metal, a liquid metal.
Nice, tasty filling.
You got it.
For your donut.
So then we need some sort of way to apply electrical currents to the outside of this donut and to the inside of the donut so that we can create a direction of motion with the mercury, get it spinning in a direction. You see what's starting to happen here? We've created a gigantic, probably half-ton to 1-ton gyroscope.
Yeah.
And so you get this thing spinning super fast, and it's reported through the things that I have read and through the stuff that I've gleaned off the internet and stuff, that this device has the ability to reduce.
So just at this step, you're just getting the mercury to spin super fast.
Yep.
Is it acting as a centrifuge? Is it acting as a...
You got it.
Okay.
It's spinning. It's
All right.
spinning in place.
Wow, yay for me.
You got it.
I remember something in science class.
But you have to understand that the technology is not out there for everyone to know. They've had to crack the code on how to get and maintain mercury spinning at such incredible speed. And once it does that, so you've got this mass that's now spinning in place. Whatever you put it in, whatever direction you push it, it's going to have the opposite force of pull on it, reducing the amount of push and pull, effectively negating the mass of whatever object that it's on, up to 75%. So to put that into terms,
wow,
if you have a 10,000-pound aircraft, which this aircraft probably weighs more than that, but if you have a 10,000-pound aircraft and you have this device on board, you have now taken your 10,000-pound aircraft and you make it weigh 2,500 pounds.
Right.
So right there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're just creating a method to make it easier to maneuver and bounce around.
I mean,
once you've made your weight, your aircraft weightless.
Oh my gosh!
Like the propulsion system after that would be.
Did you hear what you just said? You just made it able to bounce around. What is one of the hallmarks of these things when you see them? When you see all their videos and the reports,
exactly.
It was there and then it wasn't. Or all the pilots always report it made a turn that a normal aircraft couldn't make.
Right. It stops at a dime and then goes in the opposite direction.
You got it. So it accounts for, and that's
my gosh, I'm accidentally stumbling onto everything here today.
And so that's how it is so nimble and is able to reduce its weight. There is some other technologies.
That's very interesting.
It's super interesting.
Now, I would... What's the word I'm looking? Postulate.
Postulate.
I would put it to you.
not the other one.
I would prostate to you that you're saying 80 to 85%, but how many of these do you think we actually have created?
Dude, this is going to get into a whole other episode, and I can't remember the hacker's name at this time.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But
let's just finish out where we were heading to tonight then.
Yes, but there was a hacker that hacked the United States Air Force database and got on to a whole bunch of registries, crew logs, crew lists, captain assignments, first officer assignments. And what was really funny about the files that he got into is they all said extraterrestrial. They weren't terrestrial assignments. And that's interesting. Yes, and all these captains and first officers, they were all assigned to ships with names, and none of these ships exist. So I would have to say that this is this platform has probably been folded in with the larger Space Force program, of which probably 90% is black book, and we have no idea how much of it exists up there.
Now, at this point in time, seeing as a lot of this technology that we have been using, it sounds like for a decade, maybe longer.
It's been so long.
What is the point of keeping some of this secret? Because there is vested interest in showing your hand.
Same.
We showed our cards,
but we
before.
haven't made the same mistake since. And I go back to my previous Black Book projects. For instance, the SR-71 was in development at the tail end of the U-2, and no one knew it existed until the 70s. The F-117 was in development from the early 60s, and no one knew it existed until 1989. The B-2 Spirit bomber has been in development
is it just because...
Yeah, it's just we're not there yet. Maybe in 2060 they'll be like, yeah, this is ours, this is what it does, and this is how it works. To answer your previous question
is
about
it because we're just not ready?
Well, I don't think.
Yeah, good.
It's not that we're not ready. I think it follows a pattern like with all these other things. Like if you were to drop the flying wings, that's the flying wings of the 50s and 60s, and the German innovated ones, the pictures with the ones with the propellers on the back. To then people that saw that was a UFO. They just you could not comprehend something that looks like that and being able to fly. So they have their own reasons why they hold these back for as long as they do. We still don't. There's no confirmation on that stealth Black Hawk helicopter, and we know it exists. So it just might be a period of time. And to answer your question, no, I think it's the propulsion system is the reason why it hasn't been made public yet.
Just too good a tech.
It's something that I can't wrap my head around. Yeah. I don't know where they got it. I don't know how it works 100%.
Yeah. It's
my last thing to wrap.
Same way they got the internet.
Yes, to wrap. Well, actually I can tell you where the internet came from. But we won't that's for a whole other episode. Apart from the MFD, the thing that reduces its weight and makes it so nimble.
Yeah.
I do not know what kind of propulsion that it's using. It's not using ion engines because ion engines are too slow and they take too much time to spin up. It's not. Is it? In my opinion.
Are you talking about you don't know? You've got.
So when you see this thing,
I'm assuming you have theories, but
yes. When you see this thing,
well, you're talking about what energy is making it go is what you're unsure of.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure it's nuclear powered.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that its power plant is nuclear powered because that's the only thing that could generate enough energy to keep that centrifuge spinning and cooled at the temperature that it needs to be.
Right.
What I'm talking about is what actually makes it move forward and backwards. Because the spinning thing is only one part of it.
Okay.
And when you see this thing, and a lot of the videos and a lot of the accounts, people will say, well, there was a blink of light and then it appeared. And then there was a blink of light and then it disappeared. And when you see it on video, you can actually, on some of these videos, see this thing charge up. Like it is gathering energy and then a large flash of light.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. And my theory, and this is completely off the cuff, and I am speaking out the side of my neck, and I have no idea what I'm about to say, and it's just some science fiction jargon. But if I had to say, it has to be some sort of classified, like burst plasma engines. It has to be something, and I say plasma because you can store plasma. So it has to be something that you can generate with the nuclear, or it could be like in capacitors and then you could dump it. But somehow there has to be almost like an exhalation of mass power in a certain direction to basically, air hockey this thing across the globe.
I'm still saying magnets are doing a lot of the heavy lifting here.
Well, but against what? You need an opposing force. On the ground, I'd say you're absolutely right. But you're in the air.
Right.
So it has to be, it's some sort of engine or burst technology that I just literally...
Well, I'm just saying, using magnetic conductors and stuff like that to store energy to give it the bursts.
Oh, yeah.
would
You
be...
could use the MFD for energy collection as well. But what are you using to push it with? That's my only thing that I can't, or they've hidden very well. Because
I think they have God working on their side, and he's just grabbing the ships. He's going
right around like a kid in the bathtub.
Yeah.
and
That's my theory.
And you know,
I could be way off.
And
base.
people were like, all right, so why? Why would they do this? Why would they have this? And that goes back to the very beginning of what we talked about, that this is a weapons platform. It's nuclear capable. It has internal weapon bays. It keeps everything on the inside, like the new 6th and 7th gen fighters. And it is more than likely an orbital insertion vehicle, which means that it can go between space and Earth relatively easy because it can negate most of its mass.
Yeah, which, I mean, cheat code, right? It's basically a cheat code.
Yeah, it is basically a cheat code. And to go back to what you asked me, how many do I think of them are out there? I'd probably say there's a good prototype fleet out there. So there's probably a good 10 to 20 of these things that exist.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the advantage there. Do you think any other nations are close to something like on that level?
You know, it's no. And the reason is because America has always been a little crazy like that. A little mad scientist. You know what I mean? Like Russia and China are like, hey, we're going to make hypersonic missiles. We're going to make them so fast, you won't ever be able to shoot them down. Nothing you do will be able to. So that's practical. That's practical technology. They're relying on speed. That's something that's proven. If it goes so fast, you can't hit it with nothing, then it's effective. You know, we're like, Britain's kind of like this too. You know, they just deployed a new laser system on some of their frigates.
Oh yeah, I heard we're going to be fighting with lasers real soon.
Yeah, they just deployed a new laser system on some of their frigates that can knock jets out of the air.
Yeah, I heard about that one. That was crazy. They're getting to the point where
it can seriously harm the pilot. Like fry them.
I mean, if I can't point a laser pointer near an airport, so
you sure can't. You can't fly a drone near an airport either. Don't try it.
I heard about the lasers being used to just drop bombs from the sky, just intercepts them before the bombs get near you.
Yeah,
and it's craziness.
It's absolute wild, the stuff that they can do out there, man. And we haven't even seen half of it yet. And some of their stuff that they're using, like that Russia's using, those hyperbaric munitions and stuff. You don't need to get fancy. That stuff is terrifying all on its own, and it's some next level science. Right. It's some next level science stuff, dude. Like, I don't know if we need to get any more innovative for war, but America's sure going to do it.
You know what? They just need to find the next fight.
You know what the next thing is? AT-AT walkers. That's what the next thing is. It has
to be. Give me an AT-AT. Yeah. I'll take it.
So
send me to Hoth.
That's what I got. I firmly believe that this thing is out there, and it accounts for a large portion of what we think are UFO sightings. You ever see a black triangle in the sky that's got some flashy lights on it, and you're like, I never seen a plane that looks like that? Well, now you have.
If you have seen a black triangle in the sky, we want to know about it. You can email us at tudap2020@gmail.com. Email us about this show or any of the other Two Dads in a Productions podcasts or entertainment. Next episode, we'd like to do a scary story. I think
we are. So
we're going to try and dig one up.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. And before we get off here, if anybody's got any good, solid ideas about those engines, leave a comment in the comment section.
We're going to do some follow-ups if we need to.
Yeah, man. I'd be real interested to see what you guys think could make something move that fast, produce that amount of energy. All right. Or else we'll just keep talking about this.
All right. Sounds great. So if you like what you hear, get involved with us, like, comment, rate, review, whatever it is you're doing on the platform you're absorbing this information in from. Just be involved. It helps us get more listeners engaged, and it'll help you guys have a more entertaining podcast to listen to.
Thanks so much, guys. Yeah.
Yep. We love you.
Take care. Bye.